Hi guys, my name's Jon Watts from the TruGolf Academy and you've joined me at Drayton Park Golf Club. Today I'm in the greenside bunker on the 15th hole at Drayton Park. So we're going to be talking really about the setup position and then how we use the club correctly. This bounce angle that we're always talking about. How do we use the bounce of the club? How do we get the sandwich working effectively, efficiently for us? So the first thing, if I just clean off my sandwich a second, just to talk about is what is the bounce angle and then how's that going to benefit us. So very quickly, all your clubs, all your irons will actually have bounce on, and that just means that the trailing edge is actually sitting a little bit lower than the leading edge of the golf club. So with a 4-iron, 3-iron, the club's only going to have 1-2 degrees of bounce. As you move into a 56-degree sand wedge, they're going to have somewhere in the region of 10 to 14 degrees of bounce on, depending on the manufacturer. If you have a lob wedge, they're normally going to be somewhere closer to half the amount that your sand wedge has got on it. So my club here, I've actually got a 58 degree and it's got 10 degrees of bounce. So that just means that this point here, which is the lowest part of the bottom of my wedge, is 10 degrees lower than the front edge. So it's designed for this part to hit first. Now, if we open the club face in the bunker to try and get a little bit more elevation, so if we do open the club face, that is going to dramatically increase the amount of bounce. So it changes that 10 degrees to something much closer to 30 degrees or more. Bounce works well to allow that club to skim or glide through the sand. Okay, so when there is enough sand in the bunker, we want to use the wedge, we want to use the bounce, and we want to get that club sliding underneath the ball through the sand. The only times we want to actually set up with a square club face, maybe the normal amount of bounce, or maybe even actually de-lofting the club and lowering the amount of bounce, is if there was very little sand in the bunker or if we had a plugged bunker shot. But on a normal bunker shot, and when the bunker's been raked as well as this one has, we want to use the loft, we want to use the bounce correctly. So I'm just going to talk to you about how we can do that. So the first thing, if I draw a couple of lines, this one I'm just going to show you from face on first of all. I'll turn around so I've got a down line position. So we're going to pretend this is my target line. Now, I'm a firm believer, and I think most modern coaches are, in setting your body parallel to your target line. I think it was quite a traditional thing that we used to talk about, well, open the club face and then walk around the clock so your body's aiming more to the left. Swing along your body line. The issue there is this out to in chopping swing means we're not only de-lofting the club, but we're lowering the amount of bounce. So we're going to get that club digging. What we really want to do is get it skimming. So what I like to see is a much squarer setup, so our body is actually parallel to our target line. Okay, so what I want you to do when you practice this the first few times is just go ahead and draw some lines in the sand like I am. The other line I'm going to draw here, back from the ball. And I want that ball position there to be actually just inside my left heel. Okay, so the ball is well forwards in my stance, nearing my left heel. My contact point in the sand is actually going to be around 2 inches behind the ball. 2 inches, 5 centimeters. You'll find that actually if you use the club correctly, if you use the bounce correctly, you'll actually get away with anything probably between 1 and 5 inches. It will surprise you actually how far off your contact point is at times. The real elite golfers, your Phil Mickelsons of the world, are very good at actually varying how much sand they take and varying the distance or trajectory with that. I don't meet many golfers that practice as hard as he does to be able to actually achieve that. So what I want you to use is the club correctly, the bounce correctly, and you've got a much wider margin for error if you do that. So you're aiming for around 2 inches, but you'll get away with, as I said, probably anywhere between about 1 and 5. So I've got the ball way up near my left heel. My body is parallel. I'm aiming for around 2 inches behind the ball. That's my contact point. The other vital thing for me is to flare my left foot out. So your lead foot, you're going to flare that out towards the target. Okay. Now what I want to do is apply a little bit more pressure onto my lead leg. So for me, my left foot. And how I'm going to do that is turn or flare my foot out and just push my knee so it's more over my laces, so it's more over my toe. So I've turned my lead foot out and I'm pushing my knee forwards just to apply a little bit more pressure onto my front foot. My sternum location, the bottom of my swing arc, is actually going to be sitting on that line that's a couple of inches behind the golf ball. And what we don't want to do, and this is the slightly awkward bit for you to get used to initially, is we don't want a big shaft lean. We're not trying to push our hands forwards like we would do in a chipping action or maybe even a punch shot. We actually want, because we're using the loft and the bounce, we actually want our hands more back level with the club. Quite a good way of getting set up into this is to lean the club back towards your trail leg, your trail knee, but push that front foot forwards, then grip the club. Okay, so you can see there quite clearly my weight is forwards, my sternum is over my contact point, but my handle of the club is actually back level with the club rather than forwards, where it'd be de-lofting and lowering the bounce. Okay, so now I'm in this position. I'm just going to quickly go ahead and hit a shot for you. Pressure forwards, hands back. I'm pretty happy with this shot. As you can see, my pressure has moved forwards, my body has turned to be facing the target. What we're not wanting to do at all is ever move back. My contact point was pretty much perfect there, around 2 inches, which I'm happy with. I don't always get it that exact, but that was a pretty good example for you. I'm just going to spin round so you can see that from a downline position, just to finish off with. So this is going to represent my target line. My body is going to be parallel to that. I'm going to draw a line back from the ball. That's going to be just inside my left heel. I'm going to flare my front foot, my left toe outwards, push my knee forwards so my pressure's on my front foot, but I want my hands backwards. I'm aiming for this contact point around 2 inches behind the ball. So weight forwards, hands back, and then a normal golf swing just round my body. Not quite as good a strike on that one. I actually ended up hitting more like 3-4 inches behind the ball, but actually my playing partners wouldn't know. It was a pretty good shot. It flew the desired distance, and I got away with it because I was using the loft and the bounce. It was a little deeper actually than I wanted. If I do get that club working exactly as I want, using the loft and the bounce, it'll be more of a slap of the sand, and I'll actually notice the club will be finishing a little bit higher. We'll focus more on that in my next video. I hope those setup points helped you. If they did, please make sure you give us a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel for free. And I'd love your input if you could post any questions or queries below, or anything that you want me to cover in another video. Thanks, guys.